Hello listeners, here is Giridhar and you are listening to the podcast Giridhar's Garady. In this episode, I am going to share with you my journey throughout this season. But before that, let me acknowledge the comments from our listeners. I have a huge list for today. A big thanks to all the guests and listeners out there. It's only because of my amazing guests' participation and wonderful listeners' encouragement I could complete the second season successfully. So here I go with the comments. For Vijay's Life in US episode, Vijay says, మా ఫ్యామిలీ మొత్తం నీ ఇంటర్వ్యూ స్కిల్స్కి ఫుల్ ఇంప్రెస్ అయిపోయారా. సౌజన్య సేస్, సూపర్, విజయ్తోనా అదిరింది, ఆల్ ద బెస్ట్. సంతోష్ సేస్, వెయిటింగ్. For Arpita's Craving Burst episode, Ravindra Solanki says, super. Cooking and Creativity channel says, super, I subscribe you. Rashmik Gupta says, superb. Rohit Tanya says, superb. Harsh Maheshwari says, great. Jyoti Agarwal says, great. Aradhya Jain says, nice. Cartoon Comedy Funny channel says, super video. There were even another comment saying, very nice. For Swati's Conquering Depression episode, Mahesh says, very good one Giridhar and Swati, really helps a lot when you are feeling low. The best part of this clip is about tips or life hacks about depression. Ishrat says, I loved the phrase she used for it. Sudden silence is noise of depression. I appreciate her for explaining in detail without hiding anything. This could help a lot of people. Thanks Giridhar and Swati. Mukesh says, thanks Swati for sharing your experience. This really helps many. Thanks Giri for this inspiring podcast. Priyanka says, the poster is great. The emoji representing breakup, the emotion on Swati's face depict the sadness or battle, and your title says about defeating the former. Everything detail is balancing each other and it sums up perfectly. Superb. Ishrat again says, hey thanks Giridhar, a friend needs this, I'll forward it, maybe it will help. For Prudvi's Let Go of Your Ego episode, SSV says, this content left us to rethink about ourselves to shine within and outward. Thanks. We'll follow the other podcasts also. Giri sir, first time watching your channel. Very nice podcast with Prudvi with a great content. Very well explained Prudvi, amazing beautiful message. Saroja Singavarapu says, awesome super Prudvi. Prudvi says, my mom and a colleague like the podcast a lot. For Rishik's Indian Migrant episode, Malay Sarkar says, super. Priyanka Cherika says, I must thank Giridhar to let me know my AD in deep. Rishik says, hi Giridhar, got awesome response. Everyone loved your work. For Pawan's Art of Leadership episode, Nalini Kishan says, we'll listen to this definitely. For Sriram's Perception of Life episode, Pattavi Ramaya says, eagerly waiting. Sriram says, thank you Giridhar Kasi Chainula, this podcast interview truly made my day. For Srinja's Demystifying the DJ Profession episode, Cherry Bun says, wonderful. For Yashasvi's Corporate Finance episode, Yashasvi says, podcast, it was amazing, we'll frame and send it to our friends today. Another comment says, as a listener, we enjoy this podcast. Chalapati sir says, so nice, you are most talented. Mansoor says, it all feels very good, I am happy and proud that you are doing this. All the best brother. Another comment says, I really appreciate your hard work. For Kaushik's Digital Minimalism episode, Harshvardhan says, excellent bro. Srinija Mangipudi says, this is such an important and informative conversation. Thanks to you both. Hope people learn more about digital minimalism and explore the better side of life through podcasts like this. Deb Mathison says, great talk. Really inspiring points put across by Kaushik. Thank you for this team. Kaushik says, your podcast is gonna be a huge success anyway. You are getting good guests with different topics. Monica says, yeah, I have been following your podcast. Firstly, congratulations and appreciate your efforts. Krishnakant says, good to see you creating quality content. Recently, I have gone through one episode called Minimalism. It was amazing. It actually had a positive impact on the way I use internet. I should thank you. Nagireddy says, really, నీ voice బాగుంది and you are speaking so nice as RJ. For Saurabh's Celebrating Failure episode, JP Patnaik says, loved the interaction, good takeaways. Saurabh says, I know I am repeating, but it's a fact, you are doing awesome. Saurabh continues to say, guys, watch this episode, watch all episodes, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and support my super talented friend Giridhar. In his own and very pure style, he is trying to highlight a lot of social and cultural challenges, and it's a pleasure for me to contribute to his success. Have a great time ahead. Keep rocking, Giridhar Kasi Shainula. Keep up the good work. You are far better than anyone else. For Jashushree's Expressing Love episode, Arnab says, heart-touching conversation, great Jashushri. Another comment says, wonderful conversation, want to see you doing more. I have commented. For Sitaram's Secrets of Sustaining Relationships episode, Satyakrishnam Raju says, nice episode Giri, you are rocking, the way you are leading the shows are impressive. Sunita says, I must say you speak very well, saw few of your videos and it was very good. Kalyani says, hi, I just listened to this, it was nice, very matured answers by Sitaram, keep going. For Pratyusha's Reminiscing College Days episode, RK says, great work mama. For Neeraja's Discovering Multipotentiality episode, Neeraja says, మాట్లాడి చాలా డేస్ అయినా నా ఓల్డ్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ రెస్పాండ్ అవుతున్నారు పాడ్కాస్ట్ విని ఇట్ గివ్స్ మీ ఏ వెరీ పాజిటివ్ ఫీలింగ్. వన్ ఆఫ్ హర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ సేస్, నీరు వావ్ వాట్ ఏ పాడ్కాస్ట్ ఇట్ ఈస్. ఫర్ సాయిరామ్స్ పవర్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియన్ ఎకానమీ ఎపిసోడ్, రజిత సేస్, యూ హ్యావ్ గ్రేట్ నాలెడ్జ్ సాయిరామ్ గారు, థ్యాంక్ యూ గిరిధర్ గారు ఫర్ దిస్ పాడ్కాస్ట్. మ్యాడ్ డాగ్ ఛానల్ సేస్, గ్రేట్ సాయిరామ్ సార్. పాయింట్లెస్ పరష్కర్ ఛానల్ సేస్, వావ్. For Mahesh's Sport of Badminton episode, Poojita Lakshman Rao says, really cool. Sadhana Sadhu says, inspiring talks, keep making more such videos. For Siddharth's Introspecting Indian Cinema episode, Shubham Sattupalli says, good one. Krishna Kumari Bhattaram says, Sid is rocking. Pranav Tallapragada says, this video was very informative as you broached upon almost every aspect of filmmaking. Great work. Congrats Giridhar Kasi Shainula for creating this platform, as this will provide scope to a lot of people to express themselves. Wish you a lot of success in all your future endeavors. For Funny's The Conscientious Manager episode, Raja Ramesh says, super. Nagaraj says, awesome. Samyukta says, have been listening to few of your podcasts, they are really good. Another comment says, having read the book Funny already, this podcast and your interaction with Giridhar has given newer dimension to the wonderful stories in your book. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. Thanks for sharing. Interesting videos from Giri. Watched a few of them already. For Anita's Work-Life Balance episode, Rishik says, super. For Judith's Prevention of Animal Abuse episode, John Sampson says, spark of nature, great Judy. Judith says, awesome, thank you Giridhar, all because of you. Padmavati says, super. Pranu says, Notam Vinanu, beautiful, I'm so proud of you Judy. For Patabi's Life in Singapore episode, Patabi says, thanks mate, did share to few of my friends here, content and your way of running the podcast is good, they said. For Divyashree's Embracing LGBTQ episode, Vijay Raj says, really good Divyashree ji, this podcast must reach lots of people. Madhu Goofy Actor and Writer channel says, need curriculum and should be a syllabus in our academics from primary school for better knowledge of the individual's behavior of sexuality, so that they never be mistreated or discriminated cause of their choice of sexual behavior. Need scientific approach to educate the people. Divyashree says, super, 3 of my friends said it's good and I communicated the points clearly. For Manasa's Importance of Wit and Humor episode, Lita Varghese says, good one Manasa. Manasa says, thank you Giridhar for helping me to articulate some of my thoughts. Can't wait for this to be released. For Paridhi's Being Single and Independent episode, Paridhi says, perfect, thank you so much, I will share. For Lokesh's Emotional Intelligence episode, Lori Udar says, promising. Akshay Kumar Satapati says, very informative, valuable, practical talk which we should follow in our day-to-day life. Thank you Lokesh ji. Sagar says, very inspiring talk boss. Jashushri says, awesome, nice to hear Lokesh, all the best Lokesh and Giridhar. Lokesh says, Thanks Giridhar Kasi for giving me the opportunity to explain the importance of emotional intelligence. You have done so much work to make it happen. It has come out very well. Gaurav says, awesome sir, amazing. Ankur Gupta says, absolutely stunning Lokesh, so proud of you. Deepak Soni says, great. Anil Verma says, very good. Satpal Verma says, congratulations, God bless my son. Vandana Verma says, great job. Sharat Sharma says, good Lokesh, drastically changed yourself. Nidhi Verma says, great. Singh Sarbajit says, awesome Paji, great words. Manohar Lal Verma says, so nice beta. Karan Narang says, good job. For Guru Charan's The Great Resignation episode, Guru Charan says, thanks Giri, had a great conversation on this with you. Good to talk with you after a long time. My parents and siblings were happy with content and the podcast. For Madhuri's dental care episode, Madhuri says, wow. Murali says, very nice Ra. For Balram's Breaking Through Assumption episode, Balram says, thank you so much Giri. Suresh says, great going Giri. For Supriya's Conquering Math Phobia episode, is Insane Emuel says, awesome ma'am. The Eternal Channel says, wonderful. Pooja Sa says, I have listened to the podcast. This conversation will help the children and parents to understand that math subject is easy like other subjects. I am impacted by listening to the podcast as I am also a teacher. Thank you Supriya ma'am. Palkuri Ashwini says, I just listened to the podcast. You enthralled me with the entire episode. Great job. Sarita says, thank you Naresh for sharing this episode. Supriya, you are amazing dear. Very great conversation about math phobia and you are the real teacher. For Sunaina's Overcoming Struggle episode, Sunaina says, oh wow, I would be honored. I have heard a few of your podcasts. They are really good. I think I did pretty decent for my first time. Another comment says, and you did it. Salute for your brave courage and the way you handled. Yashushri says, super, all the best. One more comment says, it's superb, especially the point where you explained the difference between the exposure that our generation and our parents have. Superb. I loved the entire episode. It's good to know you from this perspective. Another comment says, super Sonu. For Anirudh's Grass on the Other Side episode, Anirudh says, I shared it with few of my friends and family. They liked it. For Sushil's Managing Fitness episode, Lopamudra says, Sakale Utileta. Kavita Das says, great. For my interview with James Loren, Sahiti says, wow, that's great. Keep going. Another comment says, good to hear about your channel. Wish you good luck. Another comment for one of the season 1's episode, Triumph Over Trauma, was from Mahesh saying, lovely story narration and whoever listens to it will definitely get connected. Kudos. One of my friends, Mahesh, says for the season 2 announcement, super, wish you all the very best. Another friend, Arpita, says, congratulations for the successful completion of season 1. One more friend, Murali, says, nice for the successful completion of season 1. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for all your comments and best wishes. I could say this served as a major motivation for me. Apart from all these comments, I would like to share something special. Recently, I posted the script of our first episode Migration in an FB page anonymously. And I received some of the comments from FB page users would like to share with you all. One of the FB users, Priya Shukla, says, really enjoyed reading. Well, it's just the attitude that matters. How we perceive things coming our way. We should all have some goals in life and some challenges associated with it. Well, people who are passionate to follow their dreams certainly succeed no matter what happens. Keep it up. One more user, Maulik Trivedi, says, on a very positive note, start writing blogs. Trust me, keep on writing what you feel as it is magical. Keep penning. Another user, Robin Hood Jonas, says, wow, I thought I was reading some blog. Nice writing. I think you are definitely a blogger or should start writing if you are not. Another user, Kapil Gupta, says, so insightful, felt good after reading. One more user, Subhomay Chatterjee, says, nice writing, real life experience, beautifully elaborated. Guys, I received this strong wave of encouragement and felt very happy. If you haven't listened to the first episode yet, please do listen today and let me know how do you feel. Talking about the journey, I would like to share it in the form of Q&A, the same way you listen to all this season's episodes. The surprise element here is I would be the host and guest for this episode with a change in my voice modulation. And here I go. Alright, so Giridhar, tell us, why did you start this podcast? Well, frankly speaking, the word podcast itself was completely new to me 3 years ago. It was during the time when I was referring to the Toastmasters educational manual that I found this word podcast, as there was a project on this podcast. I googled it and then got to know that this was more or less like a radio channel that we used to hear as kids. I always dreamt of becoming an RJ. One of the popular RJs of 93.5 Red FM, Chatterbox Chetu, inspires me a lot with his show Midnight Biryani. RJs, they talk a lot without comma or full stop. They are highly creative and they have an amazing voice to attract the audience. Above all, they are spontaneous speakers. Except the last quality, spontaneity, I think I had all the remaining qualities, and moreover, I always wanted to be in that place as a host. So it was during this time when COVID and lockdown happened that I decided to start my own podcast and fulfill my dream, and the rest is history. Amazing. But Giridhar, as a person, I know you are a great blogger, dancer, a highly enthusiastic actor, a poet, an extraordinary chef. When you are good at so many things like this, why did you choose only the podcast here? Good question. Actually, from 2016, I started realizing my own talents one after the other. As soon as I started implementing one, after a few days, I was keeping it aside and jumping into the other. At the end, I felt that I wasn't doing justice to any of these things. Of course, I am a multi-potentialite and I would love to do so many things. But then I thought, is there any one thing that I could be consistent with and thoroughly enjoying it? I found the answer with my podcast, and adding little creativity, I tried including every other thing into this podcast. In fact, that's the reason you could find some of the episodes like blogging, the art of dance, movies, poetry, and the art of cooking. I hope this answers your question. Yes, it always depends on us how to lead a passionate life by doing what we love. Yeah, you would be surprised if I say that now podcast has become my part of life, just like any other daily course of actions that we do. In fact, most of the times, whatever I do, somewhere at some point in my brain, things about my podcast work keep revolving. Oh, that's great. So now let's talk about your journey. Since the beginning of this second season, you have started bringing guests on your show, which is not that easy. So tell us, how did you get that much patience to coordinate, convince, follow up, and finally make an episode with them? Yes, you are right. It is not that simple. Can you believe that there were almost 300 people whom I approached from my contacts to complete the second season with 50 episodes? OMG, that's a huge number. Yes, it was at the beginning of 2021, after 6 months since I started the first season of my podcast, that I got this idea of bringing guests onto the show and start a second season of 50 episodes. I went through my contacts and started approaching the potential guests who could add value to my podcast. It was not easy. Some were not interested. Some said yes, but no response after that. Some of them finalized the concept but got busy after that. And lastly, for some of them, the scripting was also completed, but the guests never turned up. I must say that it was a roller coaster ride. Still, the only driving factor for me was my dream. The dream of implementing a consistent podcast series. I think that's the only thing which helped me to gain the patience to coordinate, convince, follow up, and finally make the episodes. On this note, I would like to thank all the 50 guests who have actively participated in this podcast and added a lot of value to it. Great. Now tell us, how did you gain the same momentum throughout the second season, although you had some hurdles in between? Like I said earlier, it's the passion and the dream that helped me to move forward irrespective of anything that had happened in between. Very nice. Now tell us, what are the strategies that you followed to convince people to participate in your second season of the podcast? Truly speaking, there was no strategy. It's all about their interest. My first question would be, are you interested to participate? If yes, we would discuss on this further and make it happen. If no, that's fine. I don't want to force you. And then there were no timelines for my guests. I always gave the freedom for them to have the recording only based on their feasibility. Of course, at this point, I should again thank the guests for giving me the freedom on when to release the episode, because usually it would be the first come first release and the ideal wait time would be 2 to 3 months. So yeah, once we don't restrict them with any timelines, make them comfortable and always have the gratitude in place, we always have amazing people to help us. Superb. At this point, I'm curious to know, were there any gaps in your journey? If so, how did they happen? Yes, I have to agree that major events happen in our personal life and it is not possible to run any show without a break. Even a 2 hours movie would have 15 minutes of break to let the audience digest the content, right? So similarly, there were 2 breaks in my journey so far. One was from April 2021 to mid-July 2021 during the second wave of COVID that has affected my family. And the second break was from May 2022 to mid-July 2022 when the wedding bells rang in my life. Well, Giridhar, share with us the most exciting and most irritating moment in your second season of the podcast journey. Of course, the most exciting moment was during the release of second episode of this second season, wherein we had Arpita as the guest. For the first time, I kept on receiving the applause for the work. Most of the listeners liked it, commented on it, and even subscribed to the channel. The entire day turned out to be like a festival for me, when more people appreciated my work on the same day. It was an exciting day to look out for what more I was about to receive. Coming to the most irritating moment, there was one guest, don't want to take out the name. The recording happened after getting postponed many times and the guest wanted to listen to it. Being a friend, I shared the podcast. The guest was not happy with the outcome and would like to go for another take. The reason being, so many ahs and ums in the responses. Being a toastmaster, the guest was obsessed with them. I agreed for the second take, and to my surprise, neither the guest improved on the responses nor the guest allowed me to release the episode, stating that the outcome wasn't good again. That was the most irritating moment for me, because there was so much effort that we put in, of course, together during the conversations, follow-ups, scripting work, recordings and whatnot. Everything went in vain, but since I didn't want to waste my efforts, at least I gave the script with minor changes in the questions to another guest, and finally that was a successful episode. Oh, okay. Can you share with us the learnings that you had during this season 2 of the podcast journey? Yeah, so here are my learnings. Approaching people is an art. Try to do it in a balanced way. Number 2. Content creation is an art. Never do it without your interest. Number 3. Maintain the gap between your personal relationships and professional podcast. Number 4. It's okay to take a break sometimes so you could come up with greater energy again. Number 5. Having the same level of momentum throughout your journey helps you to reach your goals. Number 6. Enjoy and trust the process and let the process take care of the end result. Great. What were the actions from your end with these learnings? I think this is a tough question because not always we get the opportunity to put our learnings into action. But here, let me put it in this way. Number 1, after the first learning, whenever I approached any guest, I always maintained that subtle balance during the conversation. Like, it is not only important for me to have the guest on my podcast, but it is also important for my guest to treat this as an amazing opportunity. It's a two-way process. Number 2, never ever I forced myself to create the content when I didn't feel like doing so. End of the day, we are humans, we have mood swings, and it is not necessary for us to have the same level of concentration all the time. Number 3, if any of my close friend is not turning up for the podcast after his or her promise, I shouldn't be angry on him, as just because he or she didn't turn up here doesn't mean he or she is not my friend anymore. Number 4, I took a break twice during the unforeseen situations, but I must say that helped me to come up with greater energy, and like I said, I couldn't get the chance to put this learning into action as I have never wanted to take a break so far. But yes, in future, I would like to whenever I feel like. Number 5. To maintain the consistency, the secret I follow in this podcast is to be always ahead of 10 or 15 episodes from the current episode. So that makes my job easy to be consistent without any gaps. Number 6. For now, I'm thoroughly enjoying the process of making the content and I don't even want to think about the end result. Because if I do so, my focus would move away from a better content now. Brilliant. Lastly, share with us what is your final target with this podcast. Like I said, currently I am enjoying the process and not thinking about the end result. But yes, at some point, even I want my podcast to reach to more and more listeners so they could get benefited out of this. Thank you so much once again to each and every guest who have participated in this season. Thanks a lot for all the wonderful listeners out there. Let's catch up very soon in the next season. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Bye bye. Take care. Here's Giridhar signing off for the day.